All right, we're live. Hi, folks. Welcome to this webinar with StayFi and Uplisting. We're going to talk about all things direct booking strategies and tactics. We'll give everybody a few minutes to join, but in the meantime, I'll introduce our speakers. We have Arthur, who is the founder of StayFi, founder and CEO of StayFi. Arthur's background is in digital marketing. He has experienced firsthand the challenges of collecting data for direct bookings and remarketing to existing guests. If you want to say hi, Arthur. Oh, you're on mute, Arthur.
Hey, everyone. First time using this system, so hopefully everything goes okay. Super excited to be here and chat with everyone and be partnering with Uplisting.
Awesome. And I'm Vince, and I'm one of the founders of Uplisting. I'll give a bit of an introduction to Uplisting in a second. But generally, we kind of thought we'd host this webinar because both of us, we hear all the time about how daunting it can be to get started with direct bookings, lots of questions on how to do that, all the challenges that you can think of, both from creating a direct booking website, first of all, and then through to generating bookings through that website and collecting guest data, remarketing, all that kind of stuff. So this webinar is designed to help you understand, first of all, how to create and provide a direct booking website, and then how to push potential guests to that website to generate bookings. So I'm going to show you how to get started with a direct booking website, and then Arthur will focus on collecting the guest data and marketing to guests to generate those bookings. We have this question. Hopefully you can see it in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So ask any questions there. We'll leave time at the end to answer all of your questions. I think we have, I think myself and Arthur have about 10-15 minutes each of a presentation, and both of us have videos to show, and then we'll answer any questions at the end. So first, just a little introduction to Uplisting. For those that don't know, we are an Airbnb preferred software partner and property and channel manager, and we're built specifically for growing short-term rental businesses. We're also one of the few solutions to offer a Google vacation rentals integration, which actually Google provides direct bookings to you as well. So it's a good source of direct bookings. Our goal is to help you confidently grow your short-term rental business and to help you maximize how much you can earn. So at Uplisting, we're really focused on reliability and user experience. We spend a lot of time designing Uplisting to be easy to use. We also offer lots of features to help you automate your business. So we hear, I don't know, you guys are all obsessed with automation, so we do all we possibly can to help you achieve that. So we have pre-arrival automation where Uplisting can take a security deposit, collect an e-sign rental agreement, verify your guest ID, which I'll go into in a bit, but these are all really important automation features that can remove some of the concerns you have around direct bookings in particular, and also from bookings from other channels. We are all over the globe. So this is a kind of a map of our properties. We have members, that start with one property, or we have members that started with 5 properties and have grown to over 200. Our members range in size from 5 to 500 properties, or from 1 to 500 properties. And we like to have a really work closely with the majority of our members. So everything's open, transparent, and we build features that can help add value to your business. Over half of our members are coming from other software that's maybe failed them in some way. It could be reliability, it could be cost, or it could be just that we have some valuable features that can help you more than others. And for any of you over 40 properties, we have private WhatsApp groups. So we're on hand to have these high-level conversations about challenges in your business and how maybe software can help, or how other members have solved these problems and so on. So trying to be there to be a much more than just a software tool, but also help where possible. So a few reasons why our members love Uplisting: easy to use, reliable. So important when you need to scale your business. No double booking, syncing instantly, all that kind of stuff. Central hub to manage all your reservations, automate and streamline guest communications, and a click and play, high performing direct booking website, which is what we're going to focus on today. So our direct booking website, and I'm going to go through a video which will show you how you can launch a direct booking website from Uplisting, from signing up for a trial to accepting your first booking, just to show you in real time how easy it is. But just to give you an idea of how these websites perform, we launched this in 2019, just pretty much the same time COVID hit. So processed a decent amount of money in that first year. Last year we did over $14 million, and this year we've done over 15 so far, and are projected to do $30 million. So this is revenue that our members are generating through our direct booking infrastructure. So, our members are saving millions every year. If you think about the 3 to 15+% that you're being charged for a booking from booking websites like OTAs, and it allows you to take control. And we always say to aim for like 30% of direct bookings if possible. The questions that you typically have around launching a direct booking website, like, is it expensive? Do I need to hire a developer? Do I need to pay for hosting a domain name? How do I take bookings and payments? Always a big question. And how do I avoid bookings with Airbnb? So we do solve all of these problems for you. So through Uplisting, you can launch a direct booking website in minutes. You can sync prices and availability instantly to all booking sites, accept payments. We even have a split payment feature where you can say collect 10% up front and the remainder 7 days before check-in. Those are totally customizable variables. As I mentioned, we can verify guest ID, collect a deposit, collect a signed rental agreement. Those are really common questions or concerns when you're thinking about having a direct booking website, like, am I protected as much as I would be on Airbnb? And then also you can message guests on a unified inbox. So any direct bookings and Uplisting, you can have a two-way conversation directly through Uplisting. So everything's in one platform. And it looks something like this, but I'm going to show a video now which will provide hopefully a good understanding of how easy it is to launch a direct booking website directly through Uplisting. This is a video that I'm recording in real time to show you how quick and easy it is to launch a direct booking website through Uplisting. First step is to click on the button here to get started. This opens up the sign up page. So I'm going to sign up as this email. Get started. The sign up, Uplisting offers a 14-day free trial. There's no credit card required. You can cancel at any time. Totally flexible. Next step is to connect to Airbnb in read-only mode. This means that Uplisting can access your Airbnb account, and I've gone to Airbnb, or I'm directed to Airbnb to confirm. So it means I can access your account, but I can't. Uplisting can't sync anything to Airbnb at this point. So it's purely read-only, doesn't affect any existing software you might be using, does not affect Airbnb. It's just a really nice way for you to get an overview of how Uplisting works with your own bookings and properties and everything else before you start using the platform properly, or before you make a switch from other software. And once you're ready, you can just click upgrade, and that will then take over the Airbnb account. So Uplisting has imported my my properties already. I can see them here on the calendar. On the calendar, I can show and hide different features here, like we have an automated cleaning scheduler, for example. So really nice functionality. Here's an Airbnb reservation that I can see that's been pulled in already, with all the messages and so on. But we're not here to see that, so let's launch a direct booking website. I don't really need to do anything else here apart from configure my subdomain. I can also use my own custom domain, like with your own domain name. But initially, I'm just going to do a custom domain, and I'm going to call it direct booking video, just so I know. This is going to create my direct booking website. And whilst I'm at it, the second thing I need to do is connect to Stripe, and this is for payment processing. If you do not want to collect payments through Stripe, you can instead just set your listings to request to book on Uplisting. That means that you let me just log in here. That means that I guess we'll actually send you an email and you can collect payments outside of Uplisting or whatnot. Need to sign in. Okay, Stripe's not being friendly with me. Yeah, that's done. Connect to Stripe. I can then select these listings to be linked to the Stripe account. I can have multiple Stripe accounts if I want. But now what I've done is connect to Stripe. I've set up my direct booking website. I can start taking bookings now. So let me view my direct booking website. Here we go. So Uplisting automatically creates this for me. If I have multiple properties or multiple locations, a guest can select the location they want to view properties for. I can select a date range like so, and then I'll be provided with the properties that are available on that date range. If I was to have no parameters here and just search, then I'll see all my properties here. I can, again, if I select a date range, let's see, no properties available. Let me do it again. Oh, okay. Let's check the calendar and open up a property so that we can test this. Okay, Palm Springs is available. Okay, so this is the property. This is the landing page, like Airbnb. Again, all done for you through Uplisting. As a guest, as a user, or sorry, as a guest, I can enter how many guests are arriving. I can then go through to book this property. I can enter my name, phone number, email address. I can sign up for marketing mailing lists. I can then enter my credit card, and this booking is now being processed and paid for via Stripe. This takes a second. Then on Uplisting, if I refresh, I can see this reservation here. This reservation has automatically blocked off Airbnb, Booking.com, Vrbo, Google, whatever, so instantly. So there's no, you won't get any double bookings. You can also change prices directly in the calendar and everything else. We have a few really cool features. So a lot of questions, when somebody's looking to launch a direct booking website, the questions are like, how do I, do I need a developer? Well, first of all, you don't, because Uplisting provides the whole website for you. Do I need to pay for hosting and a domain name? You don't have to. You can use a domain name if you want to make it more on brand. Taking bookings and payments, you've seen that it's very straightforward through Uplisting to take a booking and payment, and also to avoid double bookings. Other questions are, how do I know the guest is who they say they are? So we have a guest identity verification feature, which I can enable for one or more channels. Let me just put it on for Uplisting. We have a security deposit collection feature so that Uplisting can take a deposit for all reservations. So if I set this to 100, I'm enabled to all properties. And we also have an e-sign rental agreement feature. So I'm going to just enter some content. You obviously have a lot more content there, and use dynamic message tags to provide the guest name. Let me just put in the guest name. Okay, so then if a guest books, they're going to be required to perform those tasks now. So number one is guest ID, deposit, and rental agreement. So every booking on Uplisting has this corresponding booking confirmation page where the guest can enter their credit card information if they have to. They can sign the rental agreement, so you can see the guest names being populated, and you can add a lot more content here. I can sign this agreement as a guest, and then if I go back to Uplisting, you'll see that agreement has been signed. I can click here to view it. It'll display all the content. I can upload my own logo, so it's all on brand as well. So Uplisting here is helping to solve those problems or challenges or unknowns about maybe concerns you have about accepting guests booking directly when you think maybe they're being you're protected a bit more with Airbnb potentially. So that kind of resolves that problem. Another thing I'll just show you quickly is you can, if you take a booking over the phone, for example, or via email, say for this date range, you can enter that directly on Uplisting. You can set the number of guests. You can go through and enter the guest information here. And one really cool feature here is we create a pending booking, or you can create a pending booking. A pending booking will auto expire in 24 hours by default. So you can send the payment link to the guest, and what you'll do is send this link here. It'll look like, if I just refresh, this is the payment link your guest will see, and it's mobile responsive as well. So if I was to mimic a mobile browser, it looks like this. So that's really important to have that responsiveness, because over half of your guests are going to be on mobile. But a pending booking means that you can take a potential reservation over the phone, send the guest the link, and have them pay for that. And if they don't pay within whatever time period you prefer, like 48 hours, for example, you can set it to, then the booking is automatically removed from your calendar. So this means that you don't have to keep on going back and checking if a guest is paid in time, and it automatically opens up your dates to Airbnb, Booking.com, and so on. And that's how that works. So you can do that. That's a booking that you create directly on the calendar. Guests can book directly on your website. You're up and running within a few minutes, genuinely connecting Stripe. And that's how you very quickly and easily launch a direct booking website through Uplisting. Okay, let me just get back to my presentation quickly. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of how you can launch a direct booking website on Uplisting. There's lots of additional features on there to help you run your business. Obviously, I mentioned the split payments, and you can do things like refund bookings on Uplisting directly by clicking a button. And we're adding things like extra charges over the next few weeks, so you can upsell all guests. You can add extra charges on a reservation on Uplisting, like parking fee, for example, and collect payments for those through Uplisting pages as well. So lots there to help you boost your direct booking revenue, but also to just boost revenue generally across the board. So finally for me, in terms of Uplisting, it's really quick to get started, totally free, 14-day free trial, no credit card, no sales lead form wall to get started. Just jump in, have a look around, join one of our weekly webinars, ask any questions. Very flexible, just to help make it as easy as possible for you to review what we have on offer. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Arthur, and again, I'll answer any questions at the end.
Awesome. Well, that was awesome to see, and such cool technology for really anybody to get started with a direct booking website so easily.
Thanks, Arthur.
I will switch over to share my presentation and give a little bit more background on StayFi, and then walk through different strategies and tactics you can start taking to generate direct bookings on that website that you've just created. Because obviously, especially at the beginning, customers, potential guests are not going to organically find that site. So you really need to be intentional about how you want to drive traffic to it and start converting folks to be actual bookers in your properties. Just to give you a little background about StayFi, I founded StayFi in 2018 to help short-term rental operators become less dependent on OTAs. So, right now in this industry, Airbnb has not only taken a huge market share, they've become the basic brand name for short-term rentals. People say they want to book an Airbnb, even though Airbnb has very little or no control over the guest experience. So we want to help operators, fight back and start to establish those valuable independent brands that they can take to market and attract guests and have people actually pay a premium to stay with them, and also pay a premium to have them manage their properties, if that's the business model that you operate in. And the way that we do that is primarily through a guest Wi-Fi system. So I'm sure you've all been to a coffee shop, hotel, airport where you had to log into the Wi-Fi in order to access the internet. We provide that same branded splash page service in the short-term rental space, and we only work with short-term rental companies. And that way we're collecting data not just from the booker, but from the entire guest party, which in short-term rentals can be a lot of individuals, especially if you're operating large homes. So you can imagine 10, 15, 20 people staying in a short-term rental. They're all potential future bookers of your homes, and we want to help you collect all of their data and get your brand in front of all of those guests. And now we have even more tools like email and SMS within StayFi that can help you monetize that information, and I'll show you how those tools work. And then finally, because we are a Wi-Fi tool, there are some other benefits around monitoring your Wi-Fi performance, getting things like occupancy alerts, outages alerts, because once you manage more and more properties that are potentially all not close to each other, making sure guests have great connectivity is a super important feature that you want to maintain for all your guests. Where StayFi operates and who we work with, like I said, we only work with short-term rental companies, but we have folks that range from one listing, just like Uplisting, to 300 plus listings. 3 of the ones I put here are actually Uplisting users, the Reset Club, Vibe, and Whitetail Rentals, which are all sub 10 units. Because it's so easy to create a direct booking website now, just like how Vince showed you. Really, anybody can take advantage of StayFi and start generating those repeat guest bookings that people want directly on their own site. And then we work with some really large operators, in the 300 plus unit space, that have all sorts of different business models, whether it's master leasing, managing on behalf of homeowners, or owning the entire portfolio in these different markets. And StayFi works using something called Ubiquiti Wi-Fi equipment, which is available pretty much anywhere in the world other than, North Korea and Iran. So no matter where you are located, we can service your short-term rentals using Unify hardware, because we can help you either sell it to you directly or help you acquire it in whatever country you operate in. Jumping into why direct bookings, which I know Vince talked about a little bit. Obviously, number one reason why people want direct bookings is they're commission free. And when you have such a high reliance on Vrbo and Airbnb, that can add up to a lot of commissions that you and guests are paying in some combined form. And obviously, direct is better because you're not going to pay those fees. And that's really, you should view those fees as marketing budget because they're helping you acquire guests, right? So those channels are great, but you have to view whatever you're paying them as part of your marketing budget. And obviously, moving those dollars over into promoting your direct booking site can have great ROI for your business. Also, once somebody is in your ecosystem and knows your brand, much more likely to come back to you again for repeat bookings, especially if they've had a great experience, which we hope that they all have. And then you have also a lot more controls over the rules and parameters of your bookings, where we know that Airbnb can change things overnight, about how your listings are displayed, where they appear in search. Decreasing your dependence on those channels will just give you more control both over the rules of your bookings and kind of the reliability of getting those bookings over time. Right now, we're not winning the battle when it comes to overall direct bookings in the industry. So this data from Beyond, the direct percentage, which is the one on the left here in the light blue, has actually been decreasing every single year since 2018 coming into 2022. And Airbnb has been on the rise. And the pandemic, spurred a lot of people to do short-term rentals for the first time or to rent them as guests. But because of Airbnb's brand dominance in the space, most new users of short-term rentals are actually being attracted to the Airbnb platform. So, while there are all these great tools that are coming to market to help you with direct bookings, from an overall perspective, we're still losing out to the big name OTAs. And that's something we want to help you fight against that trend in the broader market. So big question is, how do we drive guests to book direct? 2 main ways that you're going to get bookers. One are first-time bookers and the other are repeat bookers. And in this presentation, we're really going to focus on the repeat booking channel. I'll talk a little bit about first-time right now because they're going to come from a few main sources. Number one is organic search, which is discovering your direct booking website through Google. that's very hard to be successful with when you're starting out. Because you can imagine that that's where Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com are spending their marketing dollars, is dominating search marketing. So it's going to be really hard with a new website to get people to organically find your website through searching on Google. So that's definitely kind of a later strategy, especially if you come to maybe dominate a certain market. You will find that you'll be able to crack into the top 5 of Google search results, but it's going to be very hard starting out. Other kind of main areas to keep in mind is you want to make sure you maintain competitive pricing versus your OTA listings. Almost everybody that has success with direct bookings are giving guests some share of those listing savings when people are booking directly. And then the other way we find people are generating first-time bookings, especially, is by quote unquote billboarding on OTAs, which can have some both positive and negative effects. So if you make it easy for guests to, or potential guests to, discover your brand on OTAs because you're using a branded name as the kind of who is managing this listing, or the listing names in the OTA listing match your direct booking site name, and people can Google and discover that listing easily, that will drive more people to your direct booking site to book, but may hurt your conversion on OTAs, which may demote your listing in search results within that platform. So there are some positive and negative effects from billboarding that you may want to weigh when it comes to aggressively pursuing that strategy on listing websites. We're going to focus in this presentation on repeat bookings and primarily email marketing, because once someone has had a great experience with you, much more likely to want to book that same property again. So we find that's the lowest hanging fruit when you're starting with direct bookers, is to just get guests to come back again, as opposed to trying to go out in the world and attract people to book with you for the first time. Why email marketing in particular? We find people have all sorts of different sentiments around email marketing. Does it still work? Generally from survey data, we know that when we interview marketers across all industries, email is still considered the highest ROI channel. And why is this? It still works. It's still something people invest in. And while you may think that you don't open or respond to promotional emails you're getting from brands that you love or have stayed with in the past, we know overall that for our customers, it's still the number one channel of how they're generating repeat direct bookings. And the key thing to remember is that starting this direct booking marketing effort, it's going to have a higher upfront cost, because you're going to have to create content. You're going to have to go through the process of making the website a brand. But over time, it's going to have a much lower variable cost, because once you've established that brand and email marketing cadence, the per booking cost is going to be much lower than if you're going through an OTA, which has very low upfront investment to get listed, but every single booking you're getting through an OTA is going to have relatively high costs. Things to keep in mind and how to be successful with email, which we'll talk about more, is understanding segmentation and personalization. And the more you can personalize emails with content that speak to what the booker or potential booker is looking for, the more success you're going to have. That's things like, do you email market, folks 9 months or however, if you have people that come every year, are you emailing them in that right booking window where you expect them to book again for next year? Do you have the data to personalize emails by inserting custom tags of, let's say, which home they stayed in before or what their name is? All those things are going to make your emails perform better, the more segmented and personalized that you can make them. And so how do we start collecting emails? The first one I'm going to talk about is on your own direct booking site, because if you're getting traffic on your site, or if you're sending folks to your website through social media or other channels, it's really important that you capture anyone who visits there and get their email, because they may not book on that visit, but you want to make sure you know how to follow up with them again. And ways to do that is any email marketing tool that you use, it's going to have things like pop-ups or website forms that you can place on your direct booking website, where you can start collecting this information from anybody visiting or looking at your listings there. And we want to make sure that whenever we are collecting information on our website or trying to get people to submit emails, that we have some type of give-get. It doesn't have to be something of monetary value, like this example on the left from Branson Family Retreats. I know this one has $100 off listed here, but I know they do have some email forms that perform well where they're just getting a guidebook for that destination that talks about different things to do there, because everybody on that website is trying to travel to Branson or surrounding areas. And this guidebook is a way to attract people to submit their information on the website. Then StayFi is all about collecting emails from current guests. So like I mentioned before with our system, everybody has to log in through a captive splash page with your branding on it in order to get on the Wi-Fi. And we find we collect around 80 to 90% of all guests staying in the home. So if you have 10 people staying in a property, we would expect 8 to 9 unique emails over the course of that stay. And obviously, guests will get introduced to your brand on the splash page, which most people would not be aware of if they booked on a website like Airbnb. And we can also redirect everybody to your website after they hit connect. So not only are they getting your brand, collecting their information, we're also sending them to your direct booking website after they connect to the Wi-Fi. And guests who have had great experiences staying with you are going to, again, be the ones that are most likely to book again. So we just want to make sure we capture their information during the course of the stay. We also validate all the emails using a tool called Zero Bounce, and we will reject fake or emails that would bounce on the splash page. So you know that when you're using StayFi, every single guest that logs in through the Wi-Fi, we're collecting a valid email from them during the course of the stay. So now that you're collecting emails, have a great direct booking website, how do we go ahead and actually convert these into bookings, which we'll talk about right now. Number one way is going to be through email marketing. And in StayFi, we have our own email marketing tool, as well as integrating with every email marketing tool basically out there in the market. So if you're already having success with a tool like MailChimp, Campaign Monitor, a CRM like HubSpot or Zoho, we can push all the data we collect in StayFi to your existing tool, which will just amplify the success you're already having. And we also have our own email marketing tool, which we built in collaboration with an email marketing agency called Switchback on Campaign Monitor. So I'm going to play a short 2-minute video about how that email marketing tool works, just to give you an idea of how you can get started with it.
Hey everyone, Oliver from StayFi here, and today we're taking a quick look at our new email marketing tool. So our email marketing tool will integrate directly with the contacts that you've collected through StayFi. You can also upload your own contacts from your PMS, your existing email marketing tool, wherever you have those. But our goal really is to make it as simple as possible to help you set up campaigns that you can send to guests directly from StayFi, then also use those campaigns and automations here. So building emails, super simple. There's lots of pre-built templates you can start with. You can drag in logos, photos, images, any information you want to send to guests here. And then all of those emails can feed into different automations that guests will automatically be sent as they sign into the Wi-Fi. So for example, being added to the StayFi guest list, aka signing into the Wi-Fi, that can trigger a welcome email. After a day, you can see whether or not the guest has seen that welcome email, send them a check-in, or resend that same message. And then a week later, you can send a check-in asking for a review. A month later, you can send them another message, and so on here. So really our goal with the tool is to make it as user-friendly as possible and really simplify that setup process so that you collect the emails and now you actually have an easy way of reaching out to the guests via these emails. We're also partnered with Switchback Marketing, where they can provide onboarding services, either helping you migrate your old email lists, helping you set everything up over a training call here, or they can go the extra step and actually create these custom branded templates, create these automations for you so everything is running right from the get-go. So if you want a little bit extra help, I definitely recommend checking out Switchback. We also have some onboarding videos that are going to be linked below here. So thanks so much for checking this out.
Awesome. So that kind of gives you a sense of what's possible with email marketing in StayFi, but a lot of those same features like automations are available in just about any email tool that you happen to be using. And I'll just talk about kind of the value of automation quickly with email marketing, because you can imagine, especially if you're starting out creating weekly or monthly newsletters can be a daunting task. So what we typically recommend is for people to start with a automation or drip campaign where you create a series of content that all guests will receive. So in our case, we're collecting data in stay from all the guests. So you can imagine you can set up a series of 6-10 emails that are sent automatically to every guest after they log into the Wi-Fi over the course of months. So you're really just doing a one-time email marketing setup and knowing that every single person is going to receive this drip campaign or automation series of content, and that will start driving direct bookings automatically without you having to stop your current kind of whatever you're working on every week or month to create new content. It's kind of a one-time effort to create content that then just flows out over the course of a period of time to everyone who's signed up. And the way we see this working is really, you can imagine on day 0, when someone signs into Wi-Fi, you welcome them to your destination, to your property. You may want to provide relevant information about the destination, recommendations you have, links to any guidebooks or content on your website that would be valuable, and give guests some type of incentive to book again. Also, we find if you're doing any upsells, that's also a great time to let guests know how to extend the stay or to purchase other services from you. Like Oliver mentioned in that video, you can have another email sent out the next day that only goes to people that didn't open the first one. So try to get that open rate maybe from 50-60% we see with this first email up to like 80-90 over the course of the stay. Then some time period after, you can send, and maybe 70 days later, kind of an email saying, hope you had a great experience, maybe links to any places where you want those guests to review. Since while you may be collecting reviews from the booker on an OTA, you may have other places like your website, Google, Facebook, where you want to collect reviews from the other guests that stayed in your rental property. Then you can start teeing up content that's sent out 30, 60, 90, 120 days. That's just general information about why they should come stay in your destination again, what properties that maybe they didn't stay at that time that they may want to rebook with you. And something I always recommend is to integrate plain text emails that are written from like a first person perspective, maybe from you or a salesperson on your team, that's reaching out to the guest directly saying, hey, XYZ, I'm, the person that runs these rentals, and I would love to have you book directly. And we find with a text-only email, it's much more likely to go into the primary Gmail folder, which is what most people use for email, as opposed to the promotions folder. Because when you have photos or promotional language in an email, Gmail is much more likely to sort it in the promotions folder. So plain text emails typically have much higher open rates. We also find with these kind of one-to-one written emails that people are much more likely to respond to you directly with another email saying, yes, I would like to return to X destination. How can I make another booking with you? And then you can direct them to your website, or like Vince showed you, you can even do a booking for them and then send them the link to pay. Just depending on the best way for you to reach out to that guest. And then you can program as many ongoing emails as you want. And this way you're putting that one-time effort into create content, and everyone will be getting this series over time. Another feature within StayFi I'll touch upon briefly is text marketing. So there is an option to collect phone number and explicit SMS opt-in on all the splash pages, and this works in any country with any phone number. And there's 3 types of SMS messages you can send within StayFi. The difference between email and SMS really is SMS will have a much lower opt-in rate than email marketing, but much higher open rates, exceeding like 98+% of messages will be read, and therefore also have much higher click-through rates. Within StayFi, there are 3 types of messages you can send. Welcome messages, which are automatically sent to every guest after they log into the Wi-Fi. So you log in and then you receive a text saying, this is how you book again, or here's a link to the guidebook, and those can all be dynamically filled fields depending on which property they're in. You can send a review campaign where after a certain number of days, you ask how the stay was. And if it was 5 stars, you refer the guest to Google, Facebook, or your own website to leave a 5-star review. And if it was less than 5 stars, you can collect private feedback from that guest. And then finally, you can message all the guests that have opted into your SMS marketing with things like promotions, launching new properties or markets. And that's a way to get much higher open or visible messages to all the guests and amplify whatever type of marketing you're also doing in email. And this is designed to only be one way. So if anyone ever does respond, it will send an automated autoresponder that then instructs the guest the best way to contact you. And you can set that to be whatever your preferred method of communication is, to make sure we're funneling all guest requests through the one channel where you manage guest communications. And then finally, as an extra bonus, there is a way through StayFi to retarget all your guests with Facebook and Instagram advertising. And that's by placing a pixel on your splash page that will basically remarket or mark all your guests for remarketing within the Facebook advertising or meta advertising universe. And this is something we see a lot of larger property managers have success with, who want to drive more engagement, let's say on Instagram, is they will place this pixel on their splash pages, and then they'll set up a advertising campaign within Facebook to retarget everybody who visits that page with Instagram ads and stories. And that way, really immediately after somebody logs into the Wi-Fi, they will start getting ads from your brand in their Instagram feed. And this can be very low cost, just a few dollars a day, because you're only targeting a very narrow segment of individuals who are the ones that happen to be staying in your property at that time or within a certain time window, 30, 60, 90 days. Just to talk a little bit as we wrap up about kind of results with StayFi and what we've seen, because people come to us at all different levels of direct booking proficiency. Maybe they're just starting, or they have already an established guest list and are driving a significant portion of their revenue directly. So just to give two examples, Cozy operates 160 rentals in Texas markets. And when they came to StayFi, they had basically no direct booking business. And now they're 15, 20% direct. And they attribute that mainly to the guests that we have collected data from, which is now tens of thousands that have stayed in their properties across Texas, because they're really a leader in Texas drive-to markets. And so there are people that stay frequently within different Texas properties across their portfolio now in several markets. And that continues to grow as their database grows. And the database has also been key for them on acquiring new homeowners, because you can imagine if you're two property managers competing for a home, the one that can bring a larger book of direct business to that property is the one that's more likely to win that contract with that homeowner, as opposed to somebody who's totally OTA dependent. And then finally, cottage stays came to StayFi already with a huge direct booking business. And now through the key high summer months, they're 100% direct. So they don't even list on OTAs anymore, because their database of guests and people that find their website are now enough to fulfill all the demand for the kind of high months that they have in the summer there. And now they're also having more success marketing those properties in the shoulder and low season as well. Main reasons, again, why people are using StayFi today. Number one, less dependence on OTAs through direct booking from guests that stay with them, and actively driving those guests to your website via email and text. And then finally, also, like Cottage Stays said in this email that they sent to us, also a lot of other Wi-Fi benefits we didn't really talk about in this particular presentation, but making sure that you're getting less calls and questions about internet and really focusing on delivering that fantastic guest experience across all your properties, and making sure that internet is always working, which is a super important part of that. Since you've been patiently listening to me this entire time, we do have a special promotion for Uplisting users or anybody really attending this webinar. So signing up for StayFi, very easy. It's all self-service, so obviously we're here to help, but you don't need to speak to us to get started. You can literally do it all after signing up for an account on our website on stayfi.com. And when you sign up, there will be a promo code spot where you can type in Uplisting, and you'll get 50% off our service for the first 3 months. Similar to Uplisting, there's no cost to creating a StayFi account, and you will never be charged until you actually start using the service in a property. So if you'd like, you can go to stayfi.com, create an account, and just poke around or take a look or try making a splash page, and then see if it's something that you'd want to use in one of your properties. And of course, you can reach me at arthur@stayfi.com if you have any questions or want to set up a one-on-one demo after this call. And now we can start going through some questions. Unless, Vincent, do you have anything you want to ask or add first?
That's perfect. Thanks, Arthur. Really interesting. I think lowest hanging fruit is the easiest place to get started with repeat bookings and so on. I think that's what we recommend as well. So definitely great insight.
Yeah, so here, I'll start going through these questions here. So Annette asked, does using StayFi affect the internet speed? No. In fact, it might actually make it slightly better. So like I mentioned, we work with Unify Wi-Fi equipment. And the way that works practically is either if you're outside of North America, you purchase it from someone we help you find, depending on which market it is. It might be Unify directly or another source. Then we help program it with you over Zoom, or in the US, you buy it from us, really already programmed, ready to plug in. We used through Unify something called a Wi-Fi 6 access point, which typically is going to be an upgrade over what most people have, which is Wi-Fi 5 equipment today. So just like 4G, 5G with phones, there's a newer Wi-Fi standard that came out recently called Wi-Fi 6 that basically helps devices maintain high speeds when you have many connecting to the internet at the same time. The way it works when you set it up is you plug in this device, it will broadcast a guest network in the property that will provide the splash page when you connect to it. And you can actually, in most cases, leave the called homeowner network or the existing Wi-Fi running in the property for things like TVs, door locks, thermostats. You don't have to disrupt the current Wi-Fi setup. There's really just a new network you direct guests to join, and that network will provide the splash page when they join it. And to simplify everything, the Wi-Fi network will typically have the same name across all properties and same password if you want to use a password, so that if you're operating 10 properties, you have one branded named guest network that has the same instructions to join for all properties that you manage.
Does that answer Josh's question there as well about my internet is provided via the condo building, so I do not have access to the router? Is there a way?
Yes. So if you have a condo with what's called community internet, you can't use StayFi because we can't mess with the routers or access points that are running in the building. So unfortunately, that's really the one scenario where you can't use our service, is when you're in a shared internet situation where you don't have any control over the infrastructure there. Do you work with Track? So StayFi does not require a connection to a PMS to work. So we are really just collecting data through those splash pages and providing you tools to market to them. Right now, if you have data outside of StayFi, let's say you want to put email marketing into our tool, you can upload it. We are working right now on an integration, let's say with Uplisting, where if you do have email data that you have in Uplisting that you want to supplement your StayFi email list with, we will be able to import that automatically. And we do that with a few other PMSs, and those are being added. But right now, and even then, you don't need to integrate with a PMS in order to use the service. For Facebook Insta custom audiences, is there a live audience syncs feature? Yes. So the way that works is in Facebook advertising, which just covers all their different platforms, you create something called a Facebook pixel, which you can place on any website and on your splash pages. And there's an area in StayFi to do that. When you do that, it will automatically create a retargeting audience in Facebook, which then you can put with any ad campaign or ad set really in that you're running there. So any campaign you create in Facebook, you can designate any visitor to this pixel will receive this campaign. And that way you're only targeting people that have come through your StayFi splash pages or your website if you place the pixel on your website. So it's totally within your control that you're just advertising to the specific people that have come through your StayFi splash page or other website pages. And that way you're targeting a very narrow audience that you know is already familiar with the experience of your brand. Because that's going to, again, just like how direct booking is the lowest hanging fruit are repeat guests. When it comes to building your social media presence, the lowest hanging fruit to get to follow you or to post about you are people that have actually experienced your brand, not random people you're advertising or trying to construct an audience in the advertising tool to market to. So if you do want to do some social media spend, I would recommend advertising to people that are already familiar with your brand and have stayed with you, which would be through a custom audience. There is a way in Facebook too. Let's say you place the pixel today on your website and on your StayFi splash page, and you're like, how can I supplement this data with information I already have? There's a way to supplement an audience in Facebook where you upload a CSV of names and emails and phone numbers and other data if you have it, where it will create a custom audience and try to find those people's Facebook profiles to advertise to. So you can take a guest list and upload it to Facebook ads tool to create a custom audience from like a static CSV, and then supplement that data using a pixel, which will be updated live from any visitors to any of the websites you place it on.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to automatically send over guest emails. And we also have Facebook Pixel on the Uplisting direct booking engine, so that can add your audience that way too.
Yeah. So first step, starting StayFi is install Ubiquiti Wi-Fi equipment. Yes. So in Europe, we help people buy the equipment, and Ubiquiti sells the equipment directly to any EU country. So the way it would work is you would let us know what properties you want to use StayFi in, because depending on the property size, we would recommend different devices, as there's a few different models depending on the size. You could create a StayFi account, let us know, these are the 5 properties I want to start with, and send us if you have like a link to the listing, that can be super helpful. We'd send you the links to buy these 5 APs on the Ubiquiti website, and you're going to need 10 Ethernet cables and these to set them up. Then once you receive the equipment, you set up a call with us where you plug it into a router nearby you, and then you have a laptop, and we take about 10 minutes to basically add all that equipment to your StayFi account, and then you can go place it in the homes whenever they're available. So we can do the adding APs or adding access points to your StayFi account centrally from your office or home, and then you can place them whenever you're available to go do that. When you buy from us in the US, we've done that step already, where we've added it to your account, and then you just go place it in the home once you receive it. So that's the big difference, North America versus rest of the world. As rest of the world, we have to add the equipment to your account first with you, and then you can go place it whenever you're available to. Yes, if you already have Unify equipment, which a lot of people do. So the reason we partnered with Ubiquiti for this service is in professionally installed locations that are small motels or single family homes, Ubiquiti is by far the most commonly installed equipment. You'll find things like Cisco and Meraki, these other brands you may have heard of, Ruckus. They're really for, I'd say, large hotels, airports, stadiums, like really giant applications. When it comes to these smaller settings, Ubiquiti, for both cost and performance, is by far the #1 professionally installed equipment, and done by a lot of hobbyists as well. So if you already have Ubiquiti equipment, we can work with you. And there's a few ways that happens. But you just let us know kind of what equipment you have and how it's set up today, and then we can give you a few different options of how you can integrate it with our service. And Tanner asks about marketing opt-in, opt-out. So there are a few different marketing opt-in options you have that you can customize on the splash pages. So you can have and also depending on the jurisdiction you operate in, there might be some rules that you need to follow. So for instance, in the EU, you definitely want to have an opt-in. Well, in the US, you can get away with an opt-out. So there'll be a checkbox, and you can choose to have it pre-checked, unchecked. You can even require people to check it in the United States. And I would say that opt-in varies pretty drastically depending on the operator when they have that option, because obviously the more guests are loving the experience, the more likely they are to opt into marketing. That's definitely #1. #2 is you can have a give-get on your splash page, where if you say, if you opt in, we'll send you a discount off your next stay. That will also increase the opt-in rate. But we find opt-in rates anywhere from 40 to 80, 90%, just depending on how you construct that checkbox, what you require of it, and the language you put behind it. any experience with guests pushback on providing email to get access to the Wi-Fi? I'd say very rarely or almost never, because if you do provide that checkbox, guests can always uncheck it, so they don't need to be marketed to. But like I mentioned before, this experience is very common in other hospitality locations, whether it's a hotel, airport, coffee shop. So people are used to going through a splash page and agreeing to the terms of using the Wi-Fi in these types of locations.
Yeah, it's quite normal now, isn't it? Kind of makes you look a bit more professional, even.
Awesome. I believe that was all the questions.
No.
Yeah, someone's asking, so if you go to the splash page area and you hit in the upper right edit success page, there's a place to paste in your Facebook pixel.
Okay. Just checking. Looks good. Karina, will you get a copy of the questions and answers? I actually don't know if I don't think we provide that in the recording, but reach out to us if you have any questions after this webinar. But I think that's it. Arthur, unless you have anything else to say, we have nearly an hour webinar, so lots of good information. I hope everybody enjoyed.
Yeah, this was fantastic, and thanks so much for having us, or having me at least, in this particular format. Yeah, we'll be sending out this recording link in our next newsletter. So if you're a subscriber, you'll see it there. And then I know it also gets sent to everybody who registered. So if there's anything you want to go rewatch, it will be available. And then, of course, my email again is arthur@stayfi.com. So if you want to set up a demo or have specific questions you didn't want to ask the whole group of people, you can, of course, email me directly and I can help you.
Likewise. Super.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, folks. Have a lovely rest of the week. Best of luck. Bye.